If you're struggling with low open rates, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it in 3 simple steps. It's not crazy complicated, and honestly, most people make it seem way more complicated than it actually is. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Derek, and I'm the founder at Ascend Media, where we help 7- and 8-figure D2C brands generate more profit and revenue with high converting emails in Klaviyo. So let's dive right into this. Okay, so before we even get into how to fix it, step 1 is to diagnose the problem. The solution that you need greatly depends on what your open rate is at right now. If you're at a 40% open rate, you're great, you're fine. If you're 25 to 40%, you probably need some optimization. If you're at a 10 to 25%, this is kind of like a red flag zone. And if you're less than 10%, you are in the abort abandoned ship zone. Now, having a higher open rate doesn't necessarily mean it's better. If you're comparing 40% to 70%, for example, 40% might actually be better than 70% depending on the context. But if you're comparing 10% open rates versus 40%, then yeah, you're in some troubled water if you have a 10% open rate. So first, you need to figure out, do you have an open rate problem or do you have a deliverability problem? Check out these 3 numbers and figure it out. So spam rates, these should be less than 0.03%. Bounce rate should be less than 1% at the absolute highest. Unsubscribe rates should be less than 0.1%. If any of these numbers are higher than the thresholds I mentioned here, go ahead and go watch the video on deliverability ASAP. You have a deliverability issue, not an open rate issue. This will get you out of that 10 to 15% open rate range. Now, step 2 is to segment. Who have you been sending to? Have you been sending to your entire newsletter? Have you been batching and blasting every single person on your list? Or are you doing some segmentation? If you've been sending to your entire list, you probably are going to have some segmentation issues. So I'd start with creating these 3 segments. The first is creating the never engaged segment. The never engaged segment is people who have received at least 10 emails and opened and clicked on none of them. And they also still can receive email, meaning like they haven't unsubscribed. The second is the unengaged segment. So they've received at least 10 emails, but they have opened or clicked 0 times in the last 90 days. So these people can still receive emails, and again, they haven't unsubscribed. And finally, create a 30-day engaged segment. These are people who have opened and clicked in the last 30 days, and again, still can receive email. Now, based off of these segments, the never engaged people should probably just be removed off of your list. The unengaged people could maybe get a prompt to see if they want to re-engage, and then the most engaged people, so the 30-day engaged audience, those are going to be the people you want to send to if you want to get out of the 10 to 25% open rate range. Now, segmentation is one of the most important but most neglected pieces of email marketing. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out my full deep dive on segmentation right here. Okay, so if you've diagnosed the issue in step 1 and you've determined it's not a deliverability issue, and then in step 2, you started to segment, but you're still looking at opportunities to improve your open rates, step 3 is just looking at some other metrics and other things that may hurt your open rates. So if you're in that kind of like 25% open rate zone, what I'd recommend doing is split testing subject lines, preview text, send times, testing frequency or consistency of those sends, testing your sender name. There's a variety of different things there that you can test to just see like, hey, are we actually doing well? Are there opportunities to improve with the subject line? If someone sees the email and they're like, this is 0% interesting to me, they're probably not going to click. But that being said, the reason I don't start here is because if you're at 10%, there is a 0% chance that you have a subject line issue. It's 99.9 times out of 100 a deliverability issue. So as you start to get to that 25, 30, 35% range, start to incrementally test some of those things that I just mentioned. Now, fixing your open rate is one thing, but getting people to open is just one of the steps that you need to do. You need to look at your strategy. You need to look at your design, your content, and the email needs to actually get people to click and ultimately actually convert. Now, if you want to make sure your email marketing is optimized and bringing in the most revenue possible, go ahead and check out the first link in the description and book in a call with me today. Now, once you do that, go ahead and watch this next video where I show you how to design high converting emails. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.